What's up, guys? This is going to be part 2 to the 6-part mini series on the comparison between the Thrunite TN12 flashlight and the Fenix PD35. So I left off in the first video kind of taking stuff out of the boxes and showing you what you get. So here we are. We have the lights in their respective cases. The one thing I did mention is that I do like the Thrunite case better. Just the features of it, the overall quality is definitely better. The one thing I didn't mention is that the Thrunite one has an elastic side, right? So there's better retention in here. You can see this, both sides literally have a piece of elastic material. All right, so putting in and out is a little bit more snug. It holds it more snug. It's not gonna fall out. Whereas the Fenix one just has standard nylon on the side. Not that you're gonna do this, but if you were to turn upside down and the top came off, whatever, it could slide out. All right. Not that big of a deal. Like I said, I personally don't use these, so it's not an issue for me, but of course, definitely worth mentioning. The sheath, if you do happen to use this system to carry your flashlight, is definitely better on the Thrunite side. So, talking about carry and how you guys may carry it. Some of you guys use a sheath, some of you guys don't. Some of you guys use pocket clips, and some of you guys don't. So that's the next step I'm going to get to, because I want to take these off since I personally don't use these very much. Carrying a gun and a knife, if not 2 knives, multi-tool sometimes, you know, coin holder, Zippo, just, I mean, all kinds of gear, just depends on the day, you guys know that from watching the EDC videos. I don't really have a whole lot of room to have another thing clipped to my pocket. I have tried carrying in the waistband. Offside, just literally put the whole flashlight inside the belt and inside my waist, like, you know, my pants, and then have it clipped on the outside as if I would like an inside the waistband holster for a gun. That's actually worked really nicely, but honestly, I forget that's there because it's not something I do enough to kind of retain the memory that it's sitting there. So oftentimes when I do that, I kind of forget it's there, and or it gets a little bit uncomfortable when I'm sitting down. So I don't use the pocket clips all that much, but if you do use the pocket clips, they both have great retention. They both work very nicely, and they're both easy to get on and off. All right, so if it's something you don't want, it's extremely easy to get off on both of them. As far as the designs, 6 to 1, half dozen the other. You see there's 2 slots here on the Thrunite, 1 big slot on the Fenix. They both work great though. As far as the placement, absolutely identical on both lights, okay? The only bonus here would definitely go towards the Fenix, because of the fact that it is a black pocket clip. It's an all black flashlight, so it makes sense to have a black pocket clip. The hit goes against Thrunite for having the stainless pocket clip. But for me, it's not that big of a deal because I don't use them. For you, however, you may want to use the black clips on these. Just total preference, all right? So now the pocket clips are off, we can get a better look at these lights, okay? As far as the design, very, very similar, okay? Just, I mean, the overall design is similar. Most flashlights kind of look like other flashlights. There's, you know, tail cap, of course, the head, the body. All flashlights are pretty much have some kind of knurling on it. But I mean, as far as the similarities between these, you can see the knurling on the main part of the body here, but even these slots that are cut out, it's on both lights. All right, there are minor details that are different. Okay, look at the top here. The Fenix is on the right-hand side, and the Thrunite's on the left. You can see the button is very different on the Fenix. It's square, okay? Something to note is that it's much more audible. When you're changing modes, you can hear that click. This could be a positive or a negative. Just depends on personal preference. If you want a more stealthy flashlight, this is definitely a better choice. This is more audible. Some people like that click, some people don't. So that I'm neutral on that point. I do kind of prefer this one, but it's so insignificant it doesn't matter to me much, but definitely worth mentioning. This is a loud click. As far as what's written on the flashlight, the Fenix, of course, you see Fenix PD35 on there. On the reverse side here is where Thrunite has their markings. If you will note, this is a 2014 version, okay, because they did upgrade it. Fenix has this on the head, as a lot of companies do. It says hot, all right, just so you don't touch that, because even though it's an LED, it can get hot. The Thrunite does not have that on there. Not really a pro or con, just a matter of fact kind of thing. As far as the butt ends of the light, very, very similar. All right, you can see on the Fenix, there's a couple flat spots here on the tail cap. Okay, this will help prevent it from rolling on a table. There's It does not have that here on the Thrunite. However, there are flat spots on this ring, okay, which this does not have. So again, 6 to 1, half dozen the other. Neither of them, well, you can see they're both rolling now because my table is not completely flat. But if you were to put these down gently, then neither one will really roll very easily. Although it's not so pronounced that if you were to put it down, there's still a chance of it obviously rolling either flashlight. It just depends on the situation. You see, the Thrunite does roll a little bit more than the Fenix. But I want to focus a little bit more on the tail caps here. All right, you can see almost an identical design here. The Fenix is on your right again, Thrunite's on your left. Throughout the video, I'm going to try to keep the Fenix on the right and the Thrunite on the left for, you know, just so you guys don't get too confused. You can see the design is almost identical, where we have these two parts that stick up on either side. It's a little bit wider or thicker on the Fenix here. The big difference though, and this is something that matters to me, is that although they look similar, okay, they look almost identical, they're not. And these little lanyard points, because that's what these are, they have holes on the side so you can stick a lanyard through here. These lanyard points on the Thrunite are actually a little bit taller, and or the button is inset a little bit more. So what does this really mean? It means that the Thrunite can tail stand, okay? Now this table again is not completely flat, so it's not great to show you here, but on a normal flat surface, this is a rough cut table. Actually, you know what I can do? I can do this. I'm going to weigh these in a minute. You can see here's the Thrunite, and although it's a little bit of a balancing act, you can get that to tail stand, okay? Extremely important to me in choosing between flashlights, okay? Whereas the Fenix, that button comes up just a little too much. And you can see it's rounded, obviously. This cannot tail stand, okay? And I've tried very hard to get this to balance, but it just does not balance, okay? Whereas this one, because either the button's inset just a little bit more, or again, these little ears, let's call them, or tags, whatever, they stick out just enough where you can get this to tail stand, again, on a flat surface that's obviously level. All right, just to show you this again, it's going to make sense. You're going to only do this pretty much when the light is on. So while the light is on, you can see that Thrunite is even easier to get to tail stand here for you. All right, a little bit harder when it's off, but you're probably not going to use it when it's off like that. Same thing with the Fenix. Nothing has changed. It still does not tail stand even when in the on position. It's just sticking out. That button is sticking out just too much to allow it to balance properly. All right, so its balance point is the button itself, whereas with the Thrunite, when it's, particularly when it's on, there's contact with the both sides of the actual body, okay, or tail cap. All right, so this is a big deal to me. It's not a big deal to a lot of different people. Just depends on your preference, but I've always found it that it's an important aspect, especially in emergency situations. I want to be able to put flashlights throughout my house, different rooms, basically just turn them on high, whatever their highest output is, turn it on, face it against the ceiling, especially in higher points, you know, top of cabinets in the kitchen, things like that, top of the mantle in the living room, and it disperses that light throughout the house, and I get that good ambient light in an emergency. That's important to me. May not be important to you, but it's certainly something that again leans me towards liking the Thrunite more than the Fenix. Even though this is an awesome flashlight, there's too many features that this has that I just like more. But anyway, all right, so now that we did that, I'm gonna weigh these real quick while I have the scale out here. Now these both have one 18650 in them. Let me open these up. Actually, you know, before I do this, let's take a quick little look here. All right, first we have the Thrunite. Take these apart and put them next to each other so we can do a little comparison while they're apart here. Both these flashlights take one 18650 or two CR123s. All right, I do prefer the 18650 just because of the fact that you actually will get a little bit more output on a fully charged 18650 than two CR123s. Plus, it's easier and it's safer. I've personally had bad experience in the past with using multiple CR123 cells. If you're not careful, you can have problems. They can overheat, they can vent, they can pop, they release poisonous gas. It's not a good thing. Yes, there's thousands of people who use them with no problem at all, but when you're using 2 or more CR123 cells, be sure to first of all use the same brand. It's always a good idea. Don't mix a brand new one with a used one. If you're going to put new batteries in your flashlight, make sure you have 2 brand new ones so they don't transfer energy, and don't drop them. Be very careful in handling them. But anyway, I just do prefer the 18650 for a bunch of reasons, plus the fact that it's rechargeable is really good, especially if you're using your lights a lot. So first, let's take a look at the tail caps. Again, Thrunite on the left. Pretty identical in every way except the fact that that ring is orange, but they both serve the same exact purpose. All right, same type of tail cap here. We already went over the designs. You look inside the body tubes here. Again, pretty identical. If I take these tubes off and you look at the heads, you'll also find that they are pretty similar. Okay, say Fenix on the left again, Thrunite on the left. Boy, was that confusing. Fenix on the right, Thrunite on the left. Sorry about that. So you can see the heads are pretty identical as well. And taking the head off of the Fenix, it was a little bit squeaky at first, okay? Did put a little bit of grease on there, just on the head part because it was squeaking. Tail cap didn't make a difference, but there was lubricant basically on the Thrunite, and there was not on the Fenix. Batteries I'm using are both fully charged, they're both identical, okay? So there's no issue there as far as battery power. It's not gonna taint the testing and results or anything like that. All right, I wanna weigh these with the battery in. So first, the Thrunite here. Gonna have an official weight here. All right, so Thrunite TN12, 4.5 ounces with the 18650 in there, and 4.6 ounces on the Fenix. All right, they look the same, they feel the same, the same length, same diameter and everything. So I just want to make it official there, but extremely similar as far as the form factor of both these lights. I want to talk a little bit just about the comparison between the different modes, okay? They both function the same. They both have the momentary on and constant on with the tail clickies. As far as the outputs, this is where I want to focus a little bit more attention and talk a little bit with you guys. They both work exactly the same in that you turn the flashlight on and then you're going to use the side button to change your different modes. The only thing, as I showed you before, is that the button is shaped differently, and this is more audible. Okay, louder. This one much more subtle. All right, but as far as the different modes on these, this is where preference really comes in. It depends on what you're using your light most. I think a lot of you guys out there don't use most of the modes, and there's nothing wrong with that, but for the vast majority of people, for just average use for flashlight, you want to turn it on, and it's probably going to be in its highest setting, right? Why in the world would you want less light than the light's capable of? Well, there are tons of situations where you're going to want that, particularly inside, particularly in emergency situations, whether you're inside looking for candles in a drawer or something, or you're walking to your basement or closet or something, going to the electrical box, to see if you're when your power went out, to see if that's the issue and you can turn it back on. When you have a lot of light in a close proximity, that light reflects off the walls and everything around you, okay, and it can shine back. When you have super bright flashlights, even though these are small, technology is advancing so much that we're getting so many lumens out of these small lights that there is such a thing as too much light. And when you're in close proximity to something, another great example is in your car. If you're in your car looking in your glove box, or your dashboard or something like that, center console, if you have 1500 lumens, or 800 lumens, or anything pretty much over 200, it's going to reflect back, and it's actually going to take away from your vision. All right, it's going to make it harder to see, and everything's going to be super white as opposed to being helpful as a flashlight, its intended purpose. All right, so although the highest output is usually the most sought after, right? We want lights that can get as bright as possible. But a lot of people forget about the different modes. The modes on these, they both have the same amount of modes, okay, 5 on each. I'm going to start with the PD35 here. The lowest mode is the eco mode or economy mode. Okay, this is 10 lumens. You get this for a runtime of 140 hours. The The next mode is low, 45 lumens for 29 hours, then mid or medium, 170 lumens for 7 hours and 45 minutes. High is 450 lumens for 2 hours and 30 minutes, and then turbo is 850 lumens for an hour and 15 minutes. The one thing that people were saying too is that with the PD35, if you put a specific 18650 in there, you know, as opposed to CR123s, that you do get more lumens than it's advertised. I can only go by Fenix. Fenix as a company, I'm fairly certain would want to, you know, give the best possible, you know, attributes to their flashlights. So if it actually gets brighter than 850 lumens, I'm sure they would claim that. Now, you know, maybe they didn't test it fully. Maybe this is just you know, a specific case where something was overlooked. Regardless, the highest output on this is 850 lumens, whereas the TN12, the highest output is 1050 lumens. All right, so as far as, you know, the brighter light, this one technically, you know, by the company standards and by their own testing, is brighter at 1050 lumens. Even if it was true, what I've read, and this is on Candle Power forums, which I do, you know, take very seriously, and most of the information there is spot on. So let's say, you know, Fenix is wrong about their output on this light, and it is, say, 950. This is still a slightly brighter light, and it's still a cheaper light. All right, so it's brighter and cheaper. But as far as the modes, I want to compare these again. Let me tell you the modes on the TN12. I did this in the review, but in case you didn't see that video, there's the lowest mode is a Firefly mode. It's 0.3 lumens. You get a runtime of 1585 hours. Okay. Low is 20 lumens for 74 hours. Medium is 280 lumens for 5 hours. High, 800 lumens for an hour and 50 minutes. And then turbo, which is their highest output. I'm saying turbo to compare it to PD35. They don't really call it turbo, it's just high. 1050 lumens for an hour and a half. What's really, really cool about this compared to this, okay, what I like personally about the TN12 over the PD35 is the fact that it has the Firefly mode. 0.3 lumens is extremely, extremely low in a real emergency situation, such as I'm talking wilderness emergency. Home emergency is completely different, but there are very practical uses for a 0.3 lumen mode, which I'm going to give a demonstration in the future. A separate video I'm going to give, show all the beam shots and stuff like this, and realistic testing. You know, inside, outside, stuff like that. All right, it's not just going to be looking up at trees. It'll be realistic testing and comparing both of these. But let's run through those modes again. Okay, lowest being 0.3 compared to 10. So 10 lumens, you know, a fantastic option. 0.3 even better because the runtime is 1585 hours compared to 140 hours. All right, so this flashlight can literally be on for 1585 hours. Sure, it's barely on, but it's still on for low light situations, up close. You know, you can read with it, do a lot of things with that. It's very practical. Whereas the lowest mode on here is 10. Okay, I do prefer that Firefly mode. Low, this being 20 compared to 45. All right, their low on the Thrunite is lower. If you're seeing the trend here, all of their modes are lower, even though this has the capability of being brighter overall than the Fenix. Again, that's why I like it. Next one, comparing their medium, 280 on the Thrunite compared to 170 on the Fenix. Next up, 800 compared to 450. Okay, there is a big jump. I do like the Fenix, how the increments, although higher, which I don't prefer, they are separated evenly. In other words, you know, 280 to 800 lumens is a big jump for this. Okay, but then the highest ones, 1050 again against the 850 as advertised anyway. Both fantastic lights, but you know, the Thrunite for me, so far in personal use and testing and stuff, it has features that I prefer more. But you know, taking personal opinion out of it and personal use, overall, as far as positives and negatives, what I came up with as far as a list, the positives on the TN12 and advantages is it tail stands, okay, when it's on. It does have that Firefly mode, which is extremely, extremely low output. It is cheaper, okay. It does have a quieter button when you're clicking through the modes. And something else which you're going to see in the demo is that this has a much whiter LED presence. These both are running on the same Cree XM L2 U2 LEDs. But the Fenix is a very bluish purple version of that LED, okay? And you can never tell by itself. When you compare them next to each other, you're gonna be blown away and see the difference, that the Thrunite is actually a more brilliant, true white, as opposed to a bluish purple color. This is something that you guys, unless you're comparing 2, 3, 4 lights next to each other, you can never tell the difference. If I just had the Fenix on the wall, nice white light. But when I have something to compare it to, whether it's this Thrunite or something else, you can really see that hue, that color that's coming through. Now, the one thing that I do like quite a bit about the Fenix is that this has a low voltage warning. Okay, it's gonna let you know when your batteries are dying, when it's not getting enough juice, so you know how to change it out. The Thrunite does not have that. Other than that, the only thing I like about the Fenix more is the fact that it comes with a black pocket clip, and I'm not using it anyway. So that's why, so far in my testing and everything, I do very much lean towards the Thrunite over the Fenix. Doesn't make this a bad light. This is a fantastic light. This is just a better deal. And for my personal use, a better flashlight. So stay tuned. I'm going to do another video coming up on beam shots and stuff, and giving you, direct visual aids to kind of compare these lights. I'm going to show you realistic situations, indoor and outdoor, and go through all the modes and stuff like that. So besides that, we're gonna have a little more testing, some realistic destruction tests on this, dropping it, a little bit of water test, stuff like that. I'm gonna do a full review on the PD35 as well in this series, and then I'll do a final conclusion video for you guys. So stay tuned for all that. Opinions are always welcome down below. And if you're interested in these lights, I have the links in the first video. I might just put the links again as well, in case you guys want either one of these lights. You can go right to it. On Amazon, it tends to be the cheapest, but do shop around, and I always suggest getting the best price on stuff. We all work hard for our money, and we don't want to give it away. So the cheaper the better, right? Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon with a new video. Take care, guys.